Okay, so the time is now 3:02 and we will officially call our special meeting to order. We have our normal council here. Ms. Hill is unable to be with us today. So she was going to join through Zoom, but wasn't able to do that. So we'll skip on down to the approval of the agenda. The only item on our agenda is staffing. We can't add anything. The only option we have is to remove. So unless we vote to remove staffing, then that's the only item. So do I have a motion to approve today's agenda?
I do.
A motion by Ms. A. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Ms. Russell. All in favor of approving our motion or agenda for today, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, seeing as there is no public here, we will move on to our action item with staffing. So our purpose here today is to discuss whether we want to invest some of our other monies into purchasing a fourth kindergarten para for those classrooms. So we'll talk through some of that. I'll share some information, then we'll open it up to the floor for a formal discussion around this, and then we'll call for a vote at the end of whether we want to keep it or not. So the first item that I will pass out is this, just kind of looking at how many, and this is going to be up on the screen, pass around. So this is looking at how many staff members we have per grade and kind of ratios, how much it costs per kid and all of those things. So I'll walk you through that. So if we have 3 kindergarten paras, okay, we would have in kindergarten, we have an enrollment of 62 students. We have 4 certified teachers there. The reason this says under classified staff, it says 2.0 is because right now I've built a schedule that sends our K-paras up into 1st and 2nd grade for part of their day. So that kind of, it reduces it down from 2 full-time people or from 3 full-time to 2 full-time, but the schedules are sporadic. It's still 3 people. It just equates to 2 people's worth of time. And then 1st grade would get half a person worth of time and 2nd grade would get half a person worth of time. So if you think 4 hours a day, that's about an hour and a half to 2 hours for 1st and 2nd. Okay. So then you can see here in the ratios column with 3 K-paras, that's one staff member for every 10.4 students. 1st grade would be 1 for every 17.4. That's with that 0.5 added in. 2nd grade is 1 to every 19 students. 3rd grade, 4th and 5th, those don't change in either of these. It's 1 to 16 at 3rd, 1 to 15.8 at 4th, and 1 to 22.7 at 3rd or at 5th. When you look at the next 2 columns, just show how much in actual dollars are being spent on staffing in those areas. And then if you go to the last column, that's the cost per student. That kind of shows you how much we are investing per student in that grade level. So right now with 3 K-paras, we're spending $5,084 per student on teachers and paras there. Our next highest one is 4th grade at $4,000. Then it's 3rd grade at $3,800. 1st grade at $3,400, 2nd at $31, and 5th grade at $28. And this doesn't take into account like all the specials teachers and all the things that every kid's getting throughout the school. We didn't incorporate those in. You can see if we jump up to 4 K-paras, if we choose to do that, our kindergarten ratio goes to 1 to every 9.4 students with a cost of about $5,400 per student. 1st grade is 1 to every 16.7 at $3,500. 2nd grade is 1 to every 18.4 at $3,200. And 3rd, 4th, and 5th don't change in those areas right now. So those are the options. That's kind of, so our choices between those 2. I did send out to the council where some money could come from. So I'm going to pass this out and I'm going to pull it up here. Possible funds. Okay, let me.
So what you're saying, if you add a 4th, they're still going to be going into 1st and 2nd grade.
Yes, they would still go to 1st and 2nd. We just have more staff. So that's why it gives us more total time for that.
I have a question.
Yep.
I'm not not a teacher.
Yeah.
What does the K day look like for that para? Like how many hours are they in the room? Do they go to the same room every day? Are the days different?
So
Can
if,
you like walk me through that?
yeah, so if we have 4K pairs, they're each assigned one homeroom.
Mhm.
So they would be in that homeroom during the time. They all have an arrival duty each morning somewhere in the building. They all have a lunch duty for about 30 minutes. And then right now, the rest of that time, they are with that kindergarten class. Now, with the proposed changes, we would then be sending them out to first and second grade during some like whole group times, or when kindergarten's at specials in a little bit. Once they're
Okay.
kind of settled, we're going to repurpose them to get support in other areas.
Okay, and
So-
then what does it look like now with 3?
So
Like, how are you sharing that other class?
So right now we are cheating the system
Mhm.
because we have Miss Steintorf has agreed to come on as our permanent sub. And so we have been using our permanent sub in kindergarten to support that. If the council doesn't choose to invest in that, then we have other openings that we have to start putting her in if we choose not to invest there. So we'd have to go back and repurpose what it would look like for them with 3. And there's some
Okay.
question about how do we do scheduling with 3? How do we ensure equitability between all 4 classes with all of that? So
Okay,
they're
right now it's basically operating as if there's a 4.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So we put her in there because when we thought our enrollment was going to be high, I was like, we're going to have this, so let's keep her here with the hope. And then when it did not come in, when it came in at 62,
Mhm.
that was a little bit scary with all of that. So, okay, so these are our possible funds. Miss A asked some good clarifying questions last week through email, so I wanted to kind of share what we have. So these are funds that we have available. I know some people have come to me asking about, well, what about the money we've been using to buy picnic tables with or things like that? That is Title I funds that we can't use to purchase classified staff. So we don't have enough there to do anything with. So that's why we have to buy things. Okay. So in our workbook, which is the district money, we have approximately $7,500, which equates to about 0.2 of a para. We have to spend that this year, but we can use it to purchase materials. We can do a field trip. If we don't spend it on staffing, we can use it for other things. Okay. The next area is the supplemental duty money. This is $13,550. That money does have to be spent this year, but if we choose to take that money away, then we don't have the ability to pay for any after school programs, things like that. I listed out some possible duties. Team leads, we have 10 team leads that should typically get a stipend of around $800. So that's $8,000 that we would not be able to invest. Committee chairs, we have 5 people who help run our committees. So that's $400 stipends, about $2,000. And then club sponsors, right now I already know of 2 clubs that are going to be happening, which is chorus and chess club. So I put in there 2 additional people so that we would have some flexibility there, which gets us, if you add up those 3, that gets us almost that $13,550. I don't know why they give us $550, because you can only do in increments of 200, 400, 600, 800. So I can't ever get to $550. Like it's not possible.
Yeah.
So if we can use that money for staffing, we may not. So carry forward money, this is money that we carry forward from last year. It does have to be spent this year. But we again can use that to purchase instructional materials. Last year, you can see, I'm not going to read these. These are some of the items that we purchased using the carry forward money from last year that we're utilizing this school year. So the biggest pot of money that we have is the after school fund. That is our $31,000 that we've received from the YMCA for their program. That money does not have to be spent now. It can be carried forward forever and ever and ever. I will say that my one fear, if we do choose to go this way, is that the district has held us harmless this year. And I'm afraid if we come back with, hey, we have this money, we want to buy more, that they're going to say, oh, we're not going to let you buy more. We're just going to take your money and send it to the people we would have lost. That's my fear. I don't know that that's going to happen, but that's a real fear that I have, that they're going to be like, we've given you really one and a half certified teachers and 2 full classified above what we should have. So that's kind of the discussion that we can have. So I will open it up to the floor for anybody to have discussion around our thoughts for this. If we want to do it, it costs us $30,060 to do this. We do have someone who would take this job, but we're not, our special ed para position that we have open, no one has applied. So if we didn't have a candidate in-house right now, we would be hurting for sure.
So essentially, this 31,174
Mhm.
will cover the cost
It-
of this,
Yes,
and nothing else here has to be touched.
I would first pull from the workbook, because the workbook that we want to get rid of, because that's going to go away.
Mhm.
And that was designated for staffing. So I would recommend, if we go this route, I would say, let's use the workbook funds and then some combination. We could choose to do all the after-school money, then we just don't have more next year. But yes, that 31,000 can cover the whole para.
Can this money be moved into the workbook funds if it's needed to go there?
Yeah, like we can spend that on I can tell them that what it is we just cut them a check and say, we're paying for the rest. So yeah. Short answer is yes.
So do you have and I just am thinking of 5-year-olds in the classroom, and I realize there's only 16 of them.
Mhm.
I totally get it. But they all have very specific, there's a lot of needs
Mhm.
happening, and we kind of knew that coming in. You're a planning kind of guy. Do you have a plan already set in place if we go the 3 route of
I
who's
have
gonna get what?
I haven't
or
gone there yet.
time-wise?
My goal would be that we would look at whatever a third of or 4 divided by 3, and you would get that much time for your class.
Okay.
So everybody would get the same amount of time. It just may not be at the same time.
But usually that times the kindergarten class will get, like, they all meet it at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
that was the
Their
other
schedules
factor,
would
yeah.
have to be.
And
separate.
yes, and we could look at that, and I'm okay to look at that and stagger like when their guided reading time is, so
Yeah.
that it's guaranteed that for your whole hour of guided read, when you're going to have small group instruction, we may have 2 classes that are on this schedule and 2 classes that are on this schedule, so that we can use that as much as possible. So
The other thing that came to me also is, considering, and I know it's really, I mean, this is the first time we ever had this low
Mhm.
numbers. We weren't expecting it.
Yeah.
But at the same time as we're having these low numbers, we're having children who have very high needs. So there are children in kindergarten who still are wearing pull-ups. So, and that creates another challenge if there isn't someone there to help support
Mhm.
that need. And for that particular place, to me, it seems like they're the ones that are constantly going to really need more support to take care of that need, so the teacher can actually teach.
Mhm.
How, is there a way to, if, in some situations where that is, to take care of that need?
yeah, it would just be getting creative with our schedules, and really, if we go to 3, everybody's just going to have to be a whole lot more flexible with what we have. They do have the luxury of Ms. Painter predominantly works with kindergarten. So that's an extra person there. We also have a special ed paraeducator who predominantly works with kindergarten as well. So we would just have to be really flexible with that. It's not ideal.
And you would have probably 3 people dropping in
Mhm.
every day. It wouldn't be one person, right? It'd
Yeah,
be
like we
just
would-
somebody's this 4 hours, somebody's 1 hour, somebody's 1 hour.
Yeah, and it would probably be like we would make sure that it wasn't that you would only have 2 people. We
Yeah.
wouldn't give it where it's you're getting all 3 parents. Like it'd be like it's okay,
Yeah.
2, and lot of creative scheduling.
I've worked without a para before, and I personally just don't see a really well functioning kindergarten room without a para. I just feel like 4 classrooms, 4 paras in kindergarten. That's just you can be so flexible, but only to a certain point. There's so many things that you can't foresee on a day-to-day basis, especially with it sounds like the needs that there might be. So I personally can't imagine it, but of course I'm not in the building right now, so I can't.
Yeah.
But that's just my personal.
It's difficult. And honestly, if I visualize it, it is so much, if you're teaching kindergarten, to have 24 kindergartners and a pair with you the whole time, than to have 15 and have no one. Does that make like it? Because there's a second person in there. I think that's the idea of it. And as much as I hate to be the one to say it, it's almost like when you're blessed and you can take this opportunity, if it's at all possible, for them to have that opportunity to some extent, I would say, and then when we know nothing is there at all, maybe things will start from the beginning and be restructured completely differently for them. Because I mean, if one knew in any way, shape or form that kindergarten is going to end at 62, maybe there wouldn't have been 4 kindergarten classes to begin with. So things like that. But because I've seen them go to 26, but the fact that there is that extra person in there, when a child is melting, falling apart, one person can handle that while you could keep the others together. They have so much that they're still trying to learn that even
I
for
mean,
that half
realistically, the
hour-
district would have taken one. Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Really, we should be
I
at 2.
know, I know.
We should
Yeah, I
only
mean,
have
I
2.
know.
like there, so the fact there's 3, but I
I
mean,
know.
just, I appreciate they didn't do that, but
Yeah.
I've been in the district long enough where they used to do that, like restructure, move everybody
Yeah.
around, and you're like, this is
Yeah.
god awful.
So it's a difficult call to make, quite
Mhm.
frankly.
It is.
Because my fear is if we touch this 31,000 and we come out next year looking at the potential to lose 5 certified positions and whatever classified, how are we going to recoup? It's like,
Okay.
I envision a kindergarten where there is 24 and we have no money for paras, like at all, like that. And that's my fear, is I don't want to get us to a position where we're having to make the decision, classroom teacher or no kindergarten, and no kindergarten
Have the
paras.
kindergarten teachers expressed anything to you? I mean, what have they said? How do they think? How do they feel? How do they think things are going? How do they think it can work with 3? Like, what are their thoughts?
They would, of course, prefer 4. Like they are concerned about the schedule and things like that. And I haven't had a ton of conversation with them because I didn't know where we were what the direction we wanted to go with. The issue with the current sub position is because she's a retired person, she can't stay on for the whole year in that role for us to use her as the kindergarten para. So that's where we kind of get into this. So there's concern about how do we do this? And I think some of that comes from we've never
It'll look very different.
had to do it. And it's going to look very different no matter what.
Especially with like the staggered schedule after you have a bit of routine.
I feel like we've had 5 before and 4 assistants, and it just
For
like
kindergarten.
always someone got the shaft,
Yeah,
like for
right.
lack of a
Right.
better word,
Yeah.
like.
Well, and then you've got teachers who, I mean, you've got pairs that have worked, I know you're not supposed to look at the person and the position, but you have people that have worked together for years and years. And so then you have that odd man out, so to speak. And then, so, are they have to learn new routines, because every teacher, it doesn't matter, they do stuff different. So, I mean,
And
I don't
when the primary grades typically got assistance as well, all the way through, there was a time when that was a thing. And and they were shared between second grade
Yep,
and
first
first grade. And it worked out very nicely, half and half, but they're older than kindergarten. The only
And they didn't have
thing-
the same schedule.
Yes,
Like,
and
the
they didn't
schedule
have,
is-
so the
Mhm.
scheduling that way helps. And then the other thing that might be, this is just my 2 pence into it. Maybe if the kindergarten teachers are involved in looking at their groups and seeing when their most needs are,
Mhm.
and that's accommodated for them in having someone during that time based on that. I think maybe that might.
Yeah. I would, if we choose to go with the 3 route there, I'll be sitting down with kindergarten to say, okay, we've decided to stay with the 3 we have. We're going to have to use the sub in another position throughout the building and talk about how do we function and where do we have that need and things like that. And if there's times where it's like, okay, we have to have the sub here, then we would work to build that into their schedule so that we could get everybody what they need.
Will the sub stay till the end of the school year or?
The position
The
will,
position will.
but I can't guarantee that we
Who's
will,
gonna be holding
who's
it?
going to be holding it and if someone will pick it up. Because we have the temporary para for our special ed that's been up there for a week and no one has picked up a day.
And the person that's holding it now, are they not interested in coming back to do the permanent sub position now?
They can't.
They
because
can't.
They're retired.
But like, some people retire and they're able to come back.
For them,
They
it's
can't
a set, they have 70
anymore.
days
Great.
that they can work. So that's what like, so we're
That's the
playing
issue.
this little game of like, how do we keep this person? And so
Yeah.
it's, yeah, and I've gone back and forth because I totally see the benefit of this and I would love to do it because I love that we can have this and they do need it. And the needs in kindergarten this year are pretty intense and, but thinking about how do we do that? And
I mean, and
Do
I
we
see your
rob
point
Peter to
about the
pay Paul?
future. I mean, I see
Yeah.
your point about the
Yeah.
future because
Yeah.
like, I mean, in March, and we'll all be
It'll
here
be
together, we're gonna sit here when someone's like, you're short 500 grand and be like, how are you gonna come up with it? And you're like, well, but at least you have 31,000. Like, I mean, like that's not, so I mean, I understand that like the money that we can carry forward that we don't have to spend would make a difference. But honestly, I mean, like I don't work primary. I don't know. I mean, you all can defer, but I do see your point about worrying about money that like next year, how much money we're gonna have if we spend out of like school activity fund, what's gonna like
I
in the
get that.
future.
I get that too. I see that. It's also hard to like not help a situation currently
Mhm.
in anticipation of something that hasn't happened yet. Like we don't, I mean, we all see the writing on the wall, we get it, but like, we don't know
Right.
exactly what's gonna
And
happen.
surely the district would not turn around and be like, oh, you
Oh,
have
you-
money to spend? Fine, we'll just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I just don't like that. Those are the things that run through my brain at night. Like,
I get
what
that.
could happen? And is this a
It's
possibility?
not hard to
Like,
solve a problem that doesn't exist
Yeah.
yet.
Okay, the other question I have, and I maybe because I know nothing about this,
Mhm.
the one that's retired that can only work 70 days.
Mhm.
How do they consider it 70 days? Could it be done like half day until it makes up 70 days?
no, it's just
It
70
has to be
Okay.
full.
calendar day. Like, it's just,
because-
if you come in and work for an hour, that's one of your days.
Okay, I was trying to be.
so you're
creative
saying
there.
even if the person who's currently the permanent assistant, even if we can't hire them full time?
We can, like, so
Oh,
if we
so
have a
that's-
full-time position, they can go into the kindergarten full-time position or possibly into the special ed paraeducator position that we have open. They can go full-time. They're just restricted in the sub capacity to 70 days. They go full-time, we're great, perfect, work the rest of the year. No, quite, we're not going to lose them. It's that,
Okay, I see now.
uh-huh. It's the wonderful
Giant game.
retirement
Mhm.
system. And
Mhm.
initially the district told me that we couldn't put her in this role because she was retired. And so I told them to just post the position and then I put her in it. So like,
If, I know you're not supposed to talk about people, but like, is that who you would keep there?
if we
that's
go
the
with the
idea.
kindergarten position, I would want to recommend her for that position. It's the person who was previously in the position last year.
Okay.
Um,
Could you do a half? Like, does she have to be full-time with the rules? Does that help? I don't know. I'm just,
mm,
because if you're worried about,
You don't
Cost.
get any benefits and nobody
okay,
really
Yeah.
wants
she
to do
wants-
that.
okay,
we have to be at a
But
0.7
that's
to get benefits.
but it's for one person. I don't know. And,
Yeah.
but people didn't apply to the other jobs. So I
Mhm.
know there's
Yeah.
like other, but I don't.
Yeah. Because yeah, that's the fear is if
Yeah.
we post a half,
The person that would do the half, you'd rather probably than.
Yeah.
Based on who.
So, yeah.
who or what.
because yeah, I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Any time is sometimes better, but it's yeah. I've never seen an environment where it's been up for a week and we have no applicants. Like,
They
and
have
like even our
someone else.
custodian position, we've had 2 applicants and neither one will call me back.
They have
And so
someone
is the
else.
special ed, is that a permanent?
Permanent,
position?
permanent position. We have a special ed para position that's open right now.
Because of our needs? we've qualified
No,
for a
because we have
person?
someone that's resigning in a week. And then we have a temporary position supporting our MSD classroom. That's a sub position that no one has picked up. So it's just out in the sub world, and like there's not even paras wanting to sub.
No, there's 41 openings.
Mhm.
on the website.
And that's what they need to recognize in terms of what happens in education and why people, if they have choices, they go somewhere else.
Mhm.
To continue to provide the needed support so people don't get to the point where they don't even want to take it.
Yeah.
There was a
So-
time, people would be willing to take it, but.
Yes.
Mhm.
I know I don't get a vote, but I get to voice opinions,
yes,
right? So,
yep.
okay. Well, sure, so I was waiting for a minute, 'cause I was like, I know I
Subtle.
can't vote. but- So first of all, I mean, I think you know that my vote would always just be give them people. I
Mhm.
teach little people,
Yeah.
you need all the help you can get. And I know what I sent them from preschool last year, so I know what some of those needs are.
Mhm.
So that's just my opinion, is that I would recommend for para.
I might have
Um,
met some of them in the hallway a little bit.
Possibly,
Yeah.
very possible. But my question is, are any of the students that, how do I phrase this? So the special ed opening that you're about to have,
Mhm.
does that person possibly work with kindergarten students?
No,
No. Okay, so
But-
that
well,
wouldn't-
they're,
well, they might.
they might, because we have a student that is reaching the end of their evaluation cycle.
So
That
you're about to lose a special ed person who's possibly working with,
could be, or we just
at
have to
some
work them
point.
into the, what we have schedules.
and your MSD extra help, does that involve a kindergarten student at all?
No.
No, okay. But you are possibly losing a person that might work with a
Mm-hmm.
kindergarten student.
Because yeah, we're losing one of our LBD side of the house people, and we have a student that may be qualifying soon that may require para support.
So you're already losing
Yeah.
some help.
That we have
As
to
of next
work
week.
in, yes.
So, it just sounds like we have kind of 2 votes coming up. It's if you have the position and then also how to fund it. Like it's like 2 separate.
So yeah, because first thing we have to
Yeah.
decide is, do we want yes, we want this. And then the second choice is, okay, where do we pull the money from? What is our priority to pull those amounts from? So,
The workbook and carry forward's like what, 12-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah, 12.
so if we do the top 3, we only have to pull 4,000 from that after school fund. Like 4,100 is what I think I sent out.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where we are.
Are we not gonna have the things that are listed here if we spend that money, or we spent that money
Is-
last year?
We spent that money
Same.
last year, so this is good for this year. But
Oh,
like
you're
moving into
saying, I
next
see.
year,
I see.
we may not have the funds to purchase Mystery Science or Brain Pop and Brain Pop Junior because we have utilized this money now.
Mhm.
Will, are we gonna get any more money from the Y again?
We should get about this same amount
By the end.
by the end of the
year.
school year sometime, like I got the check in the middle of July. So we should,
And you got one last year in the middle of. the
yeah, so it's about
year.
16 to 18 February, 16 to 18 July. Because it's based on whatever their profits are. We have a 50-50 profit sharing agreement. So whatever profit they make in the fall, we get 50% of that.
So
And same for the spring.
essentially, instead of increasing this, if we had moved it, it would be replaced instead of replacing it.
Yep, and we can keep that money built, like some schools have $500,000 sitting in an after-school fund for the events that they get into a situation like this.
Why didn't they tell us they were collecting that this whole time?
How many years have I been here?
I know.
Joe? Interesting.
Well, the possible supplemental duties that you're,
Last year's first year. that we gave it.
were those people paid last year?
Yes,
So this year they would not be, so that
Mhm.
would be a change.
yes. And it's not a ton of money,
You know?
but it is a little bit of something like, hey, thanks for your time. Like, so.
I mean, I do feel like the team leads do extra work. Like,
And we are blessed this year because the district is funding the school technology coordinator this year out of their funds, which is something that we would typically have to fund. Their funding, like STLP, is coming out of the district money. So we're very lucky that we still have this larger amount because the district's funding those things.
Can
So
PTA fund any of that?
That's what I was gonna.
PTA cannot.
They can't buy keep books?
Yes,
Oh, no, okay.
they could buy some of the carry forward items,
Okay.
but PTA can't fund staff or pay staff directly.
That makes sense.
So like, that's why we can't even turn in receipts anymore for reimbursement because it's illegal for a booster group to pay staff.
There was a time there was a funky way. You remember that money got.
one year
moved?
somehow we
There
bought
was a
staff from the
time
PTA.
Uh-huh.
There was a funky.
And
way.
It's
that,
been a long
it was,
time.
it was real bad. Like that happened probably 8 years ago when you could get refunds and you could get, the PTA could do things and then they changed the Red Book law and really restricted booster groups down. Because what they found at some schools was they were using that as like, it was being embezzled and they were paying like the PTA would go out and recruit a coach and saying, I'm going to give you a $5,000 bonus from us to get you to come here. And
But the PTA also needs to spend the money they have every year on the students in the building.
but they can carry forward an amount to operate on.
But not an enormous amount.
They did spend $22,000 on flat panels for third and fourth grade. That are on order.
So could they pay for the mystery science, primary phonics, key books and all of that?
Yes, so that like if
So they were to cover
we
that
could
portion.
ask the PTA to fund those things. So we're, no matter what, at the end of next year, we're gonna have to get super creative about how we fund everything. Because as a school with our budget and our staffing, what we've been used to being a Title I school, that's where we're gonna feel it is in the instructional resources. Because all of our money is gonna be sitting in staffing. And we'll have just the operating budget. So, but yes, so that's something we could talk to them about funding those things.
So
So-
Now,
that,
are we paying for the average cost? Or are we paying for real cost?
This is average costs.
So
so-
we're allowed to do that.
$30,060 is
Because
all
sometimes
we
when
have
you buy
to.
things, you have to buy it for the real
That's only
cost.
if it's on Title I or on ESSER. This
Okay.
is going workbook. This is just straight.
Grant stuff.
We're paying $30,060, which is the average cost of a full-time para. So it will be no more than, that's the exact amounts that it will be.
I will defer to you guys because nobody on my hall said one word to me because we don't know what it's like.
Yeah. So if
I'm gonna
anybody's,
always vote for 4. I'm sorry. That's knowing, I've been there. I've never taught kindergarten, but it's.
I will say I do like the
Teach.
idea that they are helping out in
Right.
first and second grade.
I think that there should be. a
okay,
different
I'm
para.
usually a very, logical person. I shoot from my head before my heart, not that I don't have one. But in this particular situation, I shoot from here. Because I know what it is, I go for 4.
okay. So if someone has a motion that they want to,
I'll make a motion.
okay,
4 kindergarten.
okay, motion by Ms. Hobbs. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Lane. Any additional discussion about hiring a 4th kindergarten para? We'll get into the money, how we want to do that in a minute. Okay, all in favor of approving a 4th para, please say aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. So we will be posting, I'll go post this evening. I'll email the budget office and see what we need to do. Okay, so now let's talk.
Do you have a guest? Do I need to include the guest on the agenda? No.
You can. Do you want to say anything?
No.
Are you staring us down?
I missed the public comment at the beginning. I was like, oh, I said something. It's on there.
That's why I was going back to it. I got the minutes.
And then I was afraid it was going in another direction, so I just thought I'd hop on
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
I feel better. I feel better.
Okay, so
I'll take myself a little money. I don't care about
Okay,
We'll take just.
just so 800. Okay, so let's talk here. So number one thing I want to, we're going to pull that workbook money because that's designated for staffing. So we will pull from there. Where do we want the money to come from next? And we don't really need a motion for this. We just kind of all have to, I mean, unless we get contentious and argue with each other.
I would just take the carry forward.
Okay,
I mean,
Yeah, workbook.
it has to be spent by the end of the year anyway,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a lot of stuff that PTA could, if you brought that to them, they would pay for.
Okay.
So the workbook money,
so workbook and carry forward. Okay, so question, do we want the supplemental duty or do we want to pull from after school? That's kind of, and we could do
Well,
a
like,
portion from supplemental.
I was
and a
gonna say,
portion-
can you leave the team leads and not the committee chair and club sponsor? Like, I mean, like, can't PTA like get people
Nope.
a club sponsor?
Mm,
A gift card?
Nope, that's illegal.
Well,
And does all
I'll
of this have to
say
be
that
spent
That has to be
this
gone.
year?
Mary Ann works
Can I
really
say
hard
this?
and has not gotten paid to do chorus, so if I'll give up my team lead money so that she can get paid.
Okay.
I mean, if that's the way we go, I'm happy to do that.
Standing at the front. I'll be
Okay,
right back.
sounds good.
Or can you, could it be like, I don't know.
We can also reduce down. We can tell the team leads, hey, you're not worth $800. Again, we can do two values of 2, 4, and 6, 2, 4, 6, $800. Like, I think I would rather give that, like,
You're only
team
getting
leads really
100.
need a lot more than.
Like, I will say,
$800
we
I'm allowed
don't
to
really have that
allocate.
many committee meetings. Like, is that really like,
I think committee chairs, we could,
Okay,
I mean,
we've never done committee chairs before stipend. Have you
No.
done committee?
I was just looking at what was kind of
wait.
the,
I used to get PD money
uh-huh.
1,000 years ago. It
Okay,
was nothing,
so-
But
So that saves us 2,000.
I feel like. How often are team lead meetings?
once a month, and they're also in charge of facilitating all of our PLCs
Well, then,
and
yeah,
coordinating, pretty much coordinating the team. And
I feel like club sponsors, though, I mean, if you're willing to stay after for an hour with a group of kids, I feel like you deserve, you know, that extra $2 a paycheck. I mean, I don't know. It's hard.
I know. All right, so now we're at 14-1.
okay,
All right, what did I miss?
we pulled the committee chairs. So we're at $14,100. So the question is, do we club sponsors and team leads, leave those alone, take them? I don't feel right about
16,000.
paying one team lead and not paying another, even though we've heard from two that are willing to give it up. I don't, that's just conscious of, like, in my conscience, that's not really fair for, you're doing similar jobs.
I have my
So.
own team lead. I'm not even on.
I would hate to take away clubs only, I mean, I'm a little biased on it, 'cause I'm helping with chess
Uh-huh.
club, but Oliver had like a bunch of stuff in kindergarten and first grade, and then there was COVID, and then like, I don't know, we came back and like nothing happened, and like, I feel like we just lost like a sense of community.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know.
I
And
agree.
So that like makes me, I'm nervous, but I mean, if you,
So I mean, if,
what other
change
clubs
the
are coming
amount?
back? and-
I mean, yeah, we can, 2, 4, 6, 8. That's, we can, it's,
Well, if it's 6, you're saving another $2,000.
Yeah.
Could
That's
the
what I wrote down
balance
on
also
mine,
come from this
600.
after school? fund?
yeah, like we can, again, the after school is fully our
Like, I'm
play
gonna
money.
say, I don't think a club sponsor should make as much as a team lead.
Okay, so do we want to drop that to 400 or 600?
Yes.
400?
4.
So that'll be 1,600, which will give us another 1,600, which puts us at 15,700.
And what about dropping team leads to 600? I don't know.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I don't know what
Okay.
your all's incentives are.
600.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
don't know,
if
I'm
you
not a
equate
team lead, I'm not a
roughly,
fan.
it's
I don't wanna
$25 an
offend
hour.
The 10 people doing it.
So roughly, if you're at non-instructional, non-supervisory is at $25 an hour. So if you think 600 is roughly 24 hours of time.
Okay, it's.
So that's kind of how
Yeah.
I always look at it, is
Uh,
how many
I'm not a
hours it
team
is.
lead, I don't know.
So we have about
For a
10
reason.
meetings a year for about an hour, and then they do some the weekly PLCs during the day. So So. Okay, so are we go with 600 there for team leads?
So we're gonna make this 400 and this 600, so that's 2 grand and that's.
I don't know. Are we going with 600? Do we want 600? Do we want 800?
No, but I have to get across town to a meeting,
Okay.
so I'm so sorry.
Let's just leave it at 800 and
Okay.
take the rest after school funds.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so what are
but
we,
you
so we're
know
gonna
what I
do
mean.
I
workbook,
vote for whatever y'all.
all
vote for.
carry
I'm-
forward, and then just change the club to 400, and then
yep,
the rest
And
is
take it
after
to
school
the
funds.
Yep.
And that'll leave
Yeah.
15,000, give or take in
Mhm.
that. Okay.
So we took 16, we took 3,600 out of it.
okay. I will take care of all the math and everything. We don't really need a motion in a second
So
for
we're-
that. It's more just discussion.
So we're keeping team leads at 800,
Yeah.
taking away committee chairs and taking club down to 600.
Down to 400.
I'm sorry, down to 400. And then we're using workbook and then anything extra is going from after school.
Yeah. Okay.
Or, yeah, and carry, we're taking
Carry forward and workbook are up the top first
Got it.
thing.
And then we just reduce that, took away committee and reduce club.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. So at this time, we are at our final agenda item, which is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Ms. A, second by Ms. Gerken. All in favor, please say aye.
All right.
Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you to everybody who's joining us. We hope